Hey folks, Dude here, coming at you of all things Friday, February 26th. And I'm going to give you guys kind of a slight revisit to one of my earlier things when I was talking about vacuum packing your gear. Now, there's a couple ways that you can be sure that your stuff is secured. Number one, if your item happens to be, of all things, just give me 1 second here, still working on my ticker juice. The number one easiest way to see if you have a good integrity on your vacuum seal is number one. The bag is still it's sealed. You have a very, very tight perimeter around the object that's been sealed, and it's tight, man. I can barely flex this thing, okay? Looking at 2 cans of Spigage, okay? I was just did this kind of half jokingly, but you know what? I got enough cans of Spig. I'm probably just going to leave this packed up and throw it in my ready pack. I'll probably put an outside bag here so I don't rip up the integrity on this one. And by and large, in case something happens to one of these cans, losing integrity, this is pretty much an archived unit. I can actually take this thing out in salt water, and there's going to be no problem whatsoever between salt water attacking the metal, ruining the integrity of the can, making the can blow out, and of course, ruin the contents. Case in point, anytime you do a vacuum seal, you have to make sure the seal is good. You're not in a commercial grade thing where you have the bag zipping through a bazillion at a time and it's a known quantity of bag, sealer, and certification for everything. You're doing this thing homebrew, home use. It is on you to make sure everything is as good as it possibly can be. Now, of that said, you have to practice. You have to know exactly how much tail to have going over into the trough to make sure that this doesn't have, like, the classic problem is whenever you pull this in and you start lowering the lid, if the lid goes down too far and pushes the item out, so the item now pushes out so far that the tail falls out of the trough, you don't get good vacuum integrity, you will just have, hopefully, enough room that what happens is that it slides out far enough, it just welds the seam. Okay, well, you can see the distance between these two welds. That's roughly the distance that is from the outside of the unit to the weld bead maker itself or the hot strip. Now, literally what happens is also a couple things that can kind of screw you. If you have a really small package and you really bunch it up. Let me find example. I shift around all my stuff. That's part of the problem now. Okay, well, let's simply just, okay, all right, here we go. Smaller package, okay? And you really bunch it up and there's a lot of wrinkles. Wrinkles will not allow vacuum to take place. Because what's happening is it's creating a hump and it's not allowing the two gasket materials to squish down the bag and get good seal. If you don't have good seal, you will not ever generate a vacuum. And the machine, just by the way it's made, will never, ever seal the bag. It'll just go, and you can lean on it as hard as you want to. It will not get enough vacuum built up to auto seal the bag. Because that's literally what happens is it's a 2-stage process when you put your bag in a vacuum machine. You literally have all other 3 sides sealed up. You have your item in there. You throw it in. You close down the lid. And it goes, and it's pulling down a vacuum. After it pulls down what it knows to be a correct amount of vacuum, there's a little switch in there that is vacuum actuated. What happens is it goes and hits enough of a vacuum, that switch opens and it switches modes. It turns off the motor and goes and starts heating up that heating element, and you won't hear the heating element cycle, but you will hear the thing go and stop, and then you'll see the unit now welding the seal. Now, you have some units that actually, I'm not going to pull them up here, but I have 2 units. One unit basically just goes by ear. The other one has 2 little LEDs. One LED is red and goes sealing. Or, sorry, pulling down. Hang on a second here. I'll make myself honest. Okay. One LED is green, one LED is red. What happens is the one that is green is telling you, let go. Let it pull down the vacuum by itself. I normally don't do that, okay? I'll still push down the lid because just sheer practice, I know these things don't seal half as good as they say they do. So what happens literally is it pulls the vacuum, and then it stops. Then you will see the red LED light up, and it will say it is sealing. It just switched modes. It has now gone from pulling the vacuum to welding the seam. Now, of that, You have to make sure that your welds were good, your bag was installed correctly in the trough, and you did everything that you possibly can do to ensure it was done correctly. Now, how do you do that? Well, safety check. Couple days later, if it's still got integrity, you're good. By and large, you're good. Now, case in point, you could do other things like I did with this one, and I screwed myself. I put in objects that were sharp, and it poked a hole in the bag, and I lost vacuum. Now, there's a trick to the trade. You could do like I did with this one. One bag inside another bag protects the outer bag. But you have to still remember, you have a hard, sharp, pointed area, and it's probably this corner right here on the stone. The magnesium magnesium fire starter that actually poked the hole. Now, what happens is these sharp, hard edges will poke a hole in the bag. Now, even if you get vacuum integrity and everything's looking great, you're going, okay, cool, this thing's perfect, this, that, and the other thing. Down the road a ways where you give this thing hard travels and, banging around on things. Literally what happens is you're bumping against that sharp point, pops your bag. All right, so I'm going to break up on this one, folks. Eat good, keep tendering, as always, you know you love it. Vacuum pack, but vacuum pack safely. See you guys.